to leave here today and hold them accountable? Are you going to hold them accountable? Louder! That's what I want to hear right there. Make some noise for yourselves. Give me that energy. Keep that energy going. Yes. Now, one of our other speakers, he's going to be speaking to you about a few things. One in particular, which absolutely needs to be addressed, is voting. James Giuliano. Let's bring James Giuliano up here. Give it up.
All good. Can you guys hear me all good? Yeah. The first thing I have to say is wow. I have goosebumps right now because if someone asked me to picture my hometown, this just isn't what I picture. And so thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much for proving that Brick can have a heart. My name's James. I grew up here my whole life. Currently, I'm working as a field organizer with the campaign to defeat Donald Trump in Northeast Philly. So I'd like to talk about a few proven, effective methods that you can get involved when the protest is done today, but this is a great first step. First of all, in the words of President Barack Obama, vote. You gotta vote, guys. That's it. And you can't just vote for president. You can't just vote for governor. You need to look at who's running for DA, who's running for town council, who are the candidates for county sheriff. Vet them, do your research, encourage your friends to do the same, vote in the primaries and vote in the general for people that are going to enact real change. Next, if you can, donate. Find progressive organizations. Donate to them. Donate your time. Volunteer. Volunteering is tried and true. It is one of the most effective ways that we can have our voices reach others that might not have otherwise heard our message. Next, I know you hear this all the time. Contact your state representatives. Contact your congressman, your mayor, your district attorney. And don't just say you're going to do it. Get a few friends. Make a plan. Say, hey, us four, this Saturday at 1 o'clock, we are emailing every local representative, every state rep. We're calling all of them. Come over to my house and let's make it happen. You have to have a plan. Going along with having a plan, this is something that was extremely effective in the 2018 midterms. It is called vote tripling. It is one of the easiest ways that we can make a massive impact. On the day that you are planning to vote, or cast your mail-in ballot, or what have you, contact at least 3 friends and family members and say, hey, do you have a plan to vote today? Cool, what's the plan? What time do you plan on doing it? Great. Could you contact 3 people and ask them, hey mom, can you call grandma and ask her if she's voting? It is proven, it is tried and true. It creates a ripple effect that rolls throughout your personal community, and before you know it, turnout is jumping up, so we need that. The last thing I want to talk about is it's something that used to make me so uncomfortable that when I was younger I didn't talk about it. And it's a problem that absolutely infects Bricktown and Ocean County. It's casual, flippant racism. We all know that casual racism is a massive problem here in Ocean County and Bricktown. And we all know that casually racist attitudes is what leads to systemic racism and the situation we find ourselves in currently. So I'd just like to say, echoing Amber and echoing Chris, especially to the white folks in the crowd, now is the time. Now is the time to say, hey, that joke, it's not funny. It's not okay. Now is the time to have those uncomfortable conversations about white privilege, systemic racism. Have those conversations with a full heart and a clear mind and express what we mean when we use those terms. Because there is nothing that is more misidentified or obscured or misunderstood than the concept of systemic racism and white privilege. And not a lot of people are going to want to listen. You all grew up in Brick or in Ocean County. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. But there's always someone that will listen. Maybe it's not your friend that makes that bad joke, but you know what? Maybe another friend hears you, and maybe it digs into the back of their head a little bit. Maybe they go home that night, they fire up Google, and they say, what really is white privilege? What really is systemic racism? Maybe they go on Google and they start to read about George, and about Ahmad, and about Brianna, and about Michael, and about Tamia, and about Trayvon, and about too many others. Maybe next time when they're at a family gathering, that friend is the one that says, no, not okay. That's not okay. And it is only through having these uncomfortable conversations, making our voices heard with a full heart and a clear mind, that we start to change attitudes. Policy's not enough. When we start to change attitudes, that's when we see policies start to change. That's when we see the system start to change. Thank you all so much. I'm absolutely overwhelmed that this is my hometown. Thank you so much.
Give it up for Brother James one more time, talking about the importance of voting. Next up, coming to the microphone is Omaima. She's going to read some thoughts and perspectives from people who unfortunately can't be with us today, so make some noise.
Sorry, I'm short. So, this is from Taylor Morgan. Thank you. She'd like to say, my name is Taylor, and I am a lifelong resident of Brick. I know that many of my friends, family, neighbors, comrades, and peers are here today. I want to first acknowledge that the land that we are standing on right now is stolen Lenape land. Lenape people are still here and actively fighting for their rights to sacred land. With the exceptions of descendants of enslaved people and indigenous people, we are all settlers of this land. In reality, we are not the ones who can dictate what is legal or illegal on land that is not ours. Instead, it's our responsibility working towards ways we can control and care for the land back to the Lenape communities who have been caring for and protecting this land for thousands of years. I want everyone to pull out their phones and download the free app, Native Land. Everyone pull out your phones. So the app is called Native Land. You can type in your location anywhere in the US, and it will tell you whose land you are standing on, and give you direct links to those folks' history and their tribal government's websites to look out for ways to donate latest news and upcoming events. That being said, nobody is free until the land is free, period. I want to talk about my experiences growing up in Brick as a Black child. A lot of people have a misconception that because you don't support Trump, you can't be racist. But racism runs much deeper than who you vote for. Take the example of Amy Cooper in New York City. She identified herself as a liberal, but she still used her power as a white woman to call the police on a Black man knowing it could endanger his life. I've carried so much pain in my childhood from living in Brick, not only from Trump supporters, but from folks who think of themselves as liberals. At every age, I experienced anti-Blackness from peers, family members, teachers, and adults. When all of these happened to me, no white person was there to support me or say, this is wrong, or educate and hold accountable anyone who was racist. During my time at school, none of my teachers ever called out white students for saying racist things or pushed back against their racist ideas. At Brick High School, Black students are 6 more times more likely to be suspended than white students. Black lives don't just matter in death, they matter in life. So we have to ask ourselves, what can we all do to ensure a better future for Black children like me? Am I willing to give up my comfort and stand up for all the little Taylors and Trayvon Martins and Tamir Rices and George Floyds in Brick Township and anywhere else? Kids are suffering here just like I did. I say no more. We will not let mainstream media fool us into thinking George Floyd's death is an isolated incident. In fact, I want to lift up two people whose names have gotten brushed under the carpet. The first is Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor! She was a black woman murdered in Louisville, Kentucky by police who broke into her home and murdered her as she slept. The second is Tony McDade. Say his name. Tony McDade! He was a black trans man murdered in Florida. Many people think that the solution to police brutality murder is to reform the police. But the system is not broken. It is working exactly the way it was built to. The first police forces in the United States were actually slave patrols, meant to catch enslaved people. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime. This means that people in prisons can be forced to work for free. Slavery by another name. Still today, black people are imprisoned in state prisons at 5 to 10 times the rate of white people. In New Jersey, for every 100,000 people, there are 2,000 black people in prison and just 200 white people. So why is that? The police were not created to keep communities safe, and they still don't keep us safe. Since the beginning of the Black Lives Matter movement, many local and state police forces have made reforms to their practices, and they have not worked. New York City, for example, banned chokeholds in 1993, but that didn't protect Eric Garner. Increasing diversity in the police force has also not been shown to reduce rates of police violence, studies have shown. Studies have shown that black cops are just as likely to murder black people as white cops. We just don't want cops that have done violence and murdered people to be held accountable. We want no police, period. We don't want there to be nicer prisons or concentration camps. We want all prisons and immigrant detention facilities gone. No justice, no peace, no racist police. Repeat. No justice, no peace, no racist police.
No justice,
No peace, no racist police. Now, no ICE, no KKK, no fascist USA. No ICE, no KKK, no fascist USA. No KKK, no fascist USA. Sorry. That's why, on Friday, Minneapolis City Council voted to disband the police and invest in communities. We're also investing in health, homeless services, schools, counselors, grassroots collectives, and programs meant to heal, not punish. Another world is possible. When you leave today, don't let the media tell you we were asking for too much, or that change is inevitable. Throughout history, people said it was impossible to abolish slavery. Then segregation, and now the police. We must believe, like those who fought before us, that life is possible, that we can have healing and not any more deaths, that a world without police, without prisons, and without borders is possible. By any means necessary, we will be free, we will heal, we must. All power to the people.
Say his name.
George Floyd.
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 That's what I'm talking about. Next up, coming to the microphone is a sister by the name of Shaquelle. She's from Lakewood. Give it up for Shaquelle, everybody, please.
Hi. Well, like you said, I'm Shaquelle. I actually went to college with Amber, and I just want to say thank you. Like, for real. I was not expecting all these people to be here. how many of you, what are you going to do next? Honestly, what are you, personally, what are you going to do next? Coming here is just the first step. Let's be real. You can say you came here to really support. You can say you came here to post on Instagram. You can say that you came here, oh, I went to a Black Lives Matter protest. But honestly, what are you going to do? I sit on Twitter and I see Twitter people just going about their life. What are you going to do about it? Because these killings, these murders, these innocent people getting shot, going to sleep, going out for a run. How many of you like to run? I know, like, a lot of people like to run. Imagine getting killed by somebody because you are just running. Just running in the street. Running. A leisure time, something that's supposed to give you peace of mind. And you get killed. You're in a car with your family, coming home from the beach, driving with your family, and you get pulled over by a cop. Your whole family's in the car. Your whole family, your daughter, your young ones, 2, 3 years old. And you see your parents getting shot. You see your mom getting shot. You see your dad on the ground, not resisting arrest, conforming to what the officer is saying, get killed. Imagine that. That's what we go through, majority of our lives, majority of these years. What are you going to do about it? How many of you have signed a petition? Woo! How many of you have signed a petition? How many of you looked up more stuff about the justice system in the cases? How many of you? Thank you, by the way. Thank you. How many of you told someone else to do it? How many of you told someone else to, hey, look, do you know what happened to Ahmaud Arbery? Do you know about his case? Do you know the details about his case? Do you know how you can help other people? Thank you, by the way. It's more than just coming here. It's more than just saying, I'm going to stand by it. It's more than just reading about it on Instagram. It's much more than that. How many of you asked a black girl, oh, can I touch your hair? How many? How many? I'm being so, how many? How many? You're pretty for a black girl.
No more. Great, and I'll continue to say anti-racism.
How many? How many of you said a comment, oh, it's because he's black? Oh, it's because that's how they are. How many? It stops there. It stops there. Honestly, for real. You can say, you can do all of this, but the comments have to stop. Like he said, what did he call it? Remember what he called it. Casual racism. There you go. How many? It starts with you guys. I want to say thank you guys, and the last thing I want you guys to do, you can kneel, you can lay on the ground. For 8 minutes and 46 seconds, we are going to stay silent. That is how long George Floyd got killed for. 8 minutes and 46 seconds. A song doesn't even last that long. We're going to stay silent for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Thank you guys before we get to it. Can you hear me? You guys all hear me? Yeah? Yep. Okay. So we're going to start the time now. The last thing George Floyd was saying was, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. about halfway there, guys. Alright, so while the time's running down, I wanted to give you guys something to think about. Okay? A little tip. When you see me as you see your white friends. For real. I'm being honest. Yeah, I know we get in this culture and we have all this on social media and we're born to be torn apart. Look at me how you see your white friends. Being completely honest. We do the same things. Literally, we literally do the same thing. My best friend, she's white. White girl. Love her to death. My sister. I can call her my sister. She's out here, well, she can't be out here, she has a baby, but she's talking about it. She's actually doing it because her kid is black. Just because one parent's black, one parent's white, doesn't mean anything. That child has black blood running through them, just like they have white blood running through them. And he's the perfect little thing. She said that to me the other day. She was like, I don't understand why there's so much racism, there's so much this in the world when I have a child with black and white blood, and he's the perfect little boy. Think about that. We got a minute left. Thank you guys. I really mean thank you. I was not expecting to see all these people here. I truly, honestly, Amber, thank you for putting this together. Black Lives Matter, guys.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter!
All right, guys, say his name. George Floyd. Say his name. George Floyd. Say his name. George Floyd. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Say her name. Breonna Taylor. Repeat after me. Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery. Emmett Till. Emmett Till. Emmett Till. Emmett Till. Thank you, guys. Sorry.
Give it up one more time for Shaquille, y'all. You know, the crazy thing, oh, damn. The crazy thing about that, you know, I was just thinking, it's like, the cruel irony of why we're here today is that in 2015, 2016, when Colin Kaepernick took his knee, a knee is ultimately what took George Floyd's life. But I will say, if you didn't get what Colin Kaepernick did then, you understand now, and that's why you're here, and that's the first step, and we appreciate you all for being here as a black man, all right? Before I introduce the next speaker, I just wanted to open a microphone to any African American elder who would like to share their thoughts and perspectives if they care to come up to the microphone. But in the meantime, make some noise for Brother Elijah.
Can y'all hear me? All right. How many of you, by show of hands, know the name Maurice Gordon Jr.? Not too many of us, right? Look around. On May 23rd, 2020, Maurice Gordon Jr. was killed on the side of the road by a New Jersey State Trooper 2 days before George Floyd. His car broke down, he did not commit a crime, and he was gunned down and then handcuffed as he bled out on the side of the road. Say his name for me. Maurice Gordon. Say it again. Maurice Gordon. When we think about this, we typically think this typically only happens in the South. This doesn't happen around us. This killing happened 30 minutes from where you're standing right now. 30 minutes away, and none of you know about it. New Jersey State Police has not put out the officer's name. He has not been fired. He's not been arrested. He might be out on the highway right now pulling another person over. There's been no punishment, but a black man is dead. He was 28 years old. He was an Uber Eats driver, a student, wanted to be a chemist, pre-med. He could have delivered your food the night before. He was somebody just like me, a student. I'm 21 years old, and on the way here, I was scared of just passing by the cops in the parking lot. Because I fear for my life every day. And I come out here and have to talk about it, and I shouldn't have to, but that's the reality of the situation. I want you guys to understand that this is not an isolated issue. This is not something that you go home and we forget about. This is not something that doesn't happen in New Jersey. It happens right down the road. Somebody's son. I grew up with a white mother and a black father. And every day, I have to fear for my life. If my father was white, would I have to fear for my life? I grew up in Freehold, New Jersey, and faced racism every day. Got bullied for being a black kid. And now those same people are texting me saying we appreciate what you're doing. Those same people are thanking me for using my voice on my platform. I'm a student at Princeton University, best university in the country. I have the opportunity that not many black men have. The university is 6% black. 6. That doesn't make sense. I've been out here almost every day protesting and trying to use my voice because other people don't have this opportunity. I'm sure Maurice Gordon would love to have this opportunity. I'm sure his mother and his sister did not expect to get a phone call at around 10 a.m. on May 23rd. And that officer is still living his life. He gets to go home to his family. His family may not even know what he's done. I would urge you all right now to pull out your phone, Google the name Maurice Gordon, and sign a petition on change.org. Last night, the petition had 5,000 signatures. There are about, 400 million people in the United States, and only 5,000 people know his name. Everybody knows George Floyd's name now. Should there have to be a video for you to care? Every day, this happens. An elderly white man was pushed down in Buffalo, New York, and has been in critical condition since by police officers. The next day, those 2 officers that pushed him down were fired from their jobs. Then 57 of their colleagues, fellow officers, resigned in solidarity with their officers. 57 cops believed what those 2 men did was right. 59 police officers in one department believed that was the correct action. In New York, not in Alabama, not in Mississippi, not in Florida, not below the Mason-Dixon line. The next state over. I urge you all to talk about this. Vote, please. Pay attention to what your children are learning in school. They hail Martin Luther King as a hero. He was the most hated man in America when he was alive. "75% of Americans at the time did not approve of what Martin Luther King was doing, a peaceful protester." Now, can you imagine what they thought about Malcolm X? We don't know the truth about the time before us. We can only believe what people tell us. It's been 401 years since the first slaves arrived. I don't know my ancestry because my people were brought here forcefully. I cannot tell you about my culture because I do not know it. All I know is that my great-grandmother marched with Martin Luther King. She wanted a better life for me. And now I'm out here 60, 70 years later, talking about the same problem. Do we see why that's wrong? Does America see why that's wrong? The world sees why it's wrong, but do Americans?
Talk to them.
There are people all over the world who are being discriminated against. There are injustices all around the world, and the world stopped when George Floyd was murdered. Breonna Taylor's killers have still not been arrested. we don't know who killed Maurice Gordon. And you here in New Jersey have the ability to expose this for what it is. This happened in your home. Some of you may live in the city where he was killed. Some of you may have driven on the parkway to get here and passed by the spot where he was shot dead. I drove on the parkway to get here, and I thought about him the entire time, because that could have been me. I hope the world changes, man. And I hope you are a part of it. I love all of you for being out here, and I want you to continue this conversation when you go home. I want you to sign petitions, donate not only money, but time. Help educate those around you, because they just honestly don't know. I don't care if you voted for Donald Trump or you didn't. I don't care. As long as you think my life matters, that's all I want to convey. So please, see me for being a student. See me as being a person. Don't see me as just another black kid playing basketball. I'm trying my best to use my platform as best I can. And I hope you will do the same. I love every single one of you. Whether you cared about my life or you didn't, I care about yours. So thank you for coming. You do not need to post on Instagram that you were here, but if you would, if you'd like to, you can. If you'd like to post on Instagram, please post a petition, a link to donate. There's even a nice little handy thing on Instagram where you can post, and it brings you to register to vote. Just click on it. That's all you gotta do. So, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for listening to everybody else. Thank you for listening to people across the country. And I love y'all. Thank you.
One more time for this man! One more time! Have you ever heard somebody say the system's broke?
Yes.
Hands in the air if you've heard someone say the system's broke. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you something, that's not true. The system's not broke. The system works fine. Because this is exactly the way it was designed. It was designed this way, and it works fine. We have to break the system. The system's not broke yet, but we're going to break it. Our next speaker right here, I've been doing poetry with him for, I realized it this morning, almost half my life, and I'm so grateful he's here, a former resident of Bricktown. Please get up for the poet Donnell, everyone. Make some noise. Welcome, Donnell.
Peace. I just want to thank my brother over here for bringing up Maurice Gordon, who was murdered by the police, by the state police, on the Garden State Parkway on my birthday, May 23rd. But because there's no video, no one seems to care or even know. So I know my brother up here just talked about him, but I want y'all to say his name again. Say his name. Maurice Gordon. Say his name. Maurice Gordon. We need justice for Maurice Gordon. We need justice for Breonna Taylor. We need justice for Ahmaud Arbery. We need justice for George Floyd. And we need justice for all the people in America killed by the police that there are no videos of. And don't think for a second that this is about a few bad cops, because it's not. This is what police do. This is what police are here to do. In 2019, the police killed almost 1,100 people. Almost 1,100 people. There's places in Europe where the police don't kill anyone. Any year. Ever. But we've just accepted this as normal, to have people patrolling the streets with guns on their belt and shotguns in their trunk to make sure that you're not driving too fast, didn't roll a red light. And I want to take a second to think about what the people have done in the last 2 weeks, being out in the streets. The only reason those officers are in jail is because of you and everyone all over the country who stood up this week and said enough is enough. The only reason that Minneapolis is disbanding the police department is because people all over this country and around the world stood up and said enough is enough. And that's why I support defunding the police here in New Jersey, here in Bricktown. I can't tell you, I grew up in this town. I graduated from Brick High in 2004. And you know what? It's great to see all these people out here. But I've been doing this type of work, organizing in Ocean County and Monmouth County for the last 20 years. And most of the time, it was with maybe 5 or 6 people who would show up to things. So this is amazing, but it shouldn't take all these videos over the last 5 years and a video of someone being choked for almost 9 minutes by a cop to make people care about what's happening to black people in America. And don't think for a second that racism is a personal thing between you and your racist uncle at Thanksgiving, or between a couple of racist cops, because that's not what racism is. That is what prejudice is, but that's not what racism is. Racism is ingrained in the Constitution and the founding documents of this country. America is a white supremacist nation. That is what America is. Racism is that in this country, today, in 2020, things are more segregated in both housing and education than they were in 1968, when Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy were murdered. Racism is that 140 million people in the richest country on the earth are living in poverty and the violence of poverty, and nobody talks about that. Racism is the millions of people without health insurance. And we say we don't have money for it. But that's bullshit. Because you know what they had money for? Within 24 hours of people being out on the streets, they had money for all these militarized police to go marching through the streets and shooting people with tear gas. There was no talk of, oh, we don't have money for that in the middle of the pandemic. Racism is the fact that they've been saying they don't have money for all these social programs and the social safety net that's been stripped since 1968. Saying they don't have money for it, but then during the 2008 financial crisis, they had money to bail out the banks, but not the people who were losing their homes, the banks who created the problem in the first place, and were giving their CEOs the raises. And those predatory loans, just like everything else I'm talking about, disproportionately affect black and brown people in this country. Racism is the fact that they say they don't have money for anything, but they were able to come up with $2 trillion to bail out all these corporations a few weeks ago. But what, maybe some of you got $1,200 out of the 500 million that was supposed to be billion, that was supposed to be for direct payments, so I don't know how that math adds up. But they had money for that. And this is not a partisan problem. This is the Democrats and the Republicans. Because on one side, we have neo-fascists, and on the other side, we have neoliberals. And the neo-fascists are saying that, oh, if we just give the money to the rich, it's going to trickle down. And the neoliberals are saying, if we only worry about the middle class and above, it's going to trickle down. Well, they're both wrong. And 140 million people are living in poverty right now. And I want to say a quote by E. Franklin Frazier, who's a black historian. And this is a quote from the 40s or 50s. I forget which one right now. But he says, because of racism, whatever afflicts people in the United States gives a double portion of that infliction to black people. So to put that in perspective, and this is true, you can go and look at all these numbers yourselves. If unemployment in the country is 10%, in the black community, it's 20%. If 20 million people don't have health insurance, 10 million people of those are black. And that's what racism's about. It's the institutions. It's the police department. It's the Congress. It's the United States government as a whole. It's the local municipality here in Bricktown. It's your county supervisors. And the election system in general. For the last 5 years, they've been gutting the Voting Rights Act. Especially in the southern states where we need it the most. And I think it's a little insane to me that the response of the police to nonviolent protests is to beat the shit out of people in the street and target journalists covering it and shooting chemical weapons that are outlawed in war in the streets of places like Seattle and Atlanta and Chicago. In the middle of a pandemic, a respiratory pandemic, they're making people cough for peacefully assembling and exercising their First Amendment rights. And then somehow calling people burning buildings down and stealing something violent. And it's the liberal media calling these protests violent and the right-wing media. So don't tell me it's Fox News, because it's NBC and CNN too. There is nothing violent about breaking a window. That is not violence. You know what it's called? There's a word for it. Vandalism. There is nothing violent about burning down a building where no one's in. You know what that's called? Arson. There's a word for it. Stop calling people violent. There is nothing violent about looting. We have a word for it. It's called theft. There is nothing violent about it. And instead of criticizing people for stealing something from Target and ignoring while they're out there the fact that black people are getting mowed down in the streets every day, and that sometimes every 6 months maybe we get a video displaying it, they're criticizing people for stealing a TV or a cell phone or a pair of Nikes. Well, instead ask yourself, why is it that poverty is so endemic in this country that people feel like the only time they're going to be able to get a cell phone or get a pair of Nikes is when there's protests in the streets and the police are distracted? These are crimes of poverty. And as I said before, poverty is not only violent, but racist. And black people are disproportionately affected by poverty. From 400 years. 400 years of this shit. So I don't want to hear you complaining about your Target when we're getting killed in the streets and calling us violent. And not talking about the entire Minneapolis Police Department that is violent and that's the reason that city burned. Just because you only became aware of it when George Floyd got killed doesn't mean that this hasn't been happening to black people in that city every day since they were brought there. But again, it's people power that has the Minneapolis Town Council disbanding that police department. And it's time that we think about defunding the police and defunding the U.S. military. You want to talk about violence? Everyone wants to quote Martin Luther King during these riots and talk about how peaceful he was. But he talked about the three evils in the United States: militarism, poverty, and racism. And okay, he missed sexism, homophobia, xenophobia. He did call the United States the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. There's a reason that the United States has a police force that looks like an army. It's because that's where our priorities lie. And now is the time to dismantle that. If Minneapolis can do it, we can do it too. We don't need the police to have Hummers and military-grade equipment. There's no need for it. We don't need armed people showing up at domestic disturbance calls for calls of people with mental illness. We don't need armed people showing up when you call 911 because somebody's having a medical emergency. There's no need for it. But violence is as American as apple pie. So I don't want to hear anybody complaining about violence when a window gets broken, giving the police an excuse to come in with their billy clubs and smash people in the head. And as I said before, this isn't a partisan issue. Look at what's happening in these states with Democratic governors. Look at de Blasio, sticking up for the cops, running people over. This guy who ran as a police reformist, what has he done? Nothing. This moment we're in, well, as I said, it's not a partisan issue. I was there in Zuccotti Park in 2011 when Obama nationwide gave help to all the police departments around the country where there was Occupy protests so that they could go in and beat the shit out of people, steal their stuff out of their tents, and kick them out of the parks. That was Obama's response to nonviolent protests in the United States of America. So don't talk to me about Trump. Donald Trump is a direct result of the policies and the systems put in place by the people that came before him. Donald Trump is a result of Clinton and Obama. Barack Obama deported more people than any other president in the history of presidents. So Donald Trump is a legacy of that. And we can't think of this moment as an isolated incident, because it's not. And I don't just mean the killing of George Floyd, the killing of Breonna Taylor, the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. What I mean, all this crazy authoritarian things that we're seeing coming out of the White House and Trump, because Trump is a direct descendant of the murders of Medgar Evers, of the murder of Malcolm X and John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King and Robert F. Kennedy. The political moment we're in today is a direct result of the white backlash to the movements that happened in the 60s and 70s. And make no mistake about it, but there's a Trump number 2 and a Trump number 3 waiting in the wings. And they are more articulate, more knowledgeable about history and the political system here in America than Donald Trump is at all. And so it's great to see these movements across the country happening right now. But the real work begins when these cameras are gone. The real work begins when people go back to work and don't have time to be in the streets. The real work begins in basements and halls and meetings at people's houses. Because we don't need a reactionary movement of people only coming out and caring about things when there's a video of somebody being murdered circulating on the internet. We need to be proactive and organized. We need a plot. We need a plan. We need to form grassroots organizations on a local level. We need people to run for office on a local level. One last thing I'll leave you with on that note is thinking about the difference between what's happening to protesters who are arrested in New York City right now and what's happening to protesters who are arrested in San Francisco, where Chesa Boudin, a radical district attorney, was elected this year. Where he said, we're not going to hold these people in jail and we're not going to charge them for exercising their First Amendment rights. Well, that's the power of local elections. But it doesn't matter when you're left with two choices of this guy's horrible and this person's a little less horrible. So we're going to vote for the lesser of two evils. So we need people like you who are here today to be running for local office. Because in New York, you know what that district attorney said? Oh, I know we're supposed to let people out after 24 hours and have an arraignment, but we're in a pandemic, so we're going to hold them indefinitely. Or people exercising their First Amendment rights in the United States of America. If this brutal crackdown was happening in any other country in the world, you know the State Department would be talking about how they're abusing human rights. America is the biggest abuser of human rights in the world today, and they always have been. The immigration crisis at our border is a direct result of the United States of America toppling democratically elected governments in Central and South America and installing brutal dictators. And so not only do we need to worry about Black Lives Mattering, but we need to worry about immigrant lives mattering, and undocumented lives mattering, and Middle Eastern lives mattering, where the United States is still bombing weddings and funerals as part of our war on terrorism. We need to worry about trans lives mattering. And we need a grassroots movement that includes all of these things. And so I hope that when this moment is over and there's no more protests to go to, and Black Lives Matter dies out on your social media feed, and the news is talking about how the NBA's back, or how Biden and Trump are debating, or some bullshit about the Kardashians, that you'll keep this energy that you have here today, that you've had for the last 2 weeks, and you'll get together and strategize, create a plan, and figure out ways to dismantle the system. Because as Martin Luther King Jr., this hero that everyone wants to quote about nonviolence, was saying many times during the year that he died, we don't need reform. We need a radical, revolutionary transformation of society and redistribution of wealth. And that right there, which most people don't know, is why he was killed. And it's not a conspiracy theory that he was killed by the FBI, the CIA, the intelligence community, and the military, and the Memphis police. If you think that's a conspiracy theory, go do some homework. The internet is very easy to find information. His family sued all of those branches that I just mentioned and won in court in the 90s. There's several books written about it. And to leave you with this, and what that's really getting at, is that capitalism is the real problem, here and around the world. There is no way to have a non-racist capitalist society, a non-oppressive capitalist society. Capitalism can only exist on the exploitation of people and natural resources. So until we radically redistribute the wealth in this country, nothing is ever going to change, no matter how many reforms we make. No matter how many new laws are put in place to protect us from the police. As we've been doing that since this country was founded. That's what the 14th Amendment is about, isn't it? You can't legislate your way out of a problem like this. I'm not saying don't legislate or don't run for seats like I was just saying, but that can't be the end all and be all. We need a revolutionary change in this country if we actually want Black lives to matter. And in closing, I just want to say that we're standing on Lenape land. We're standing on stolen land. And I just want to acknowledge the First Nations whose land this is, for giving us this space. And I want to bring our attention back to the murder that just happened on May 23rd in New Jersey, in Bass River Township, on the side of the Parkway, where Maurice Gordon a 28-year-old college student, was pulled over for speeding. The cop asked him to move his car to the other side of the road, but his car wouldn't start. So he waited in the back of the police car for a half an hour, not under arrest, not being detained. And when he tried to get out of the car, the cop shot him multiple times and then handcuffed him while he was dying. Handcuffed a dying man. A New Jersey state trooper who the Attorney General still didn't release his name or the body camera footage. Now his attorneys are trying to get that footage released. And so again, I know my brother before me talked about it, but I want to say his name again. Maurice Gordon. Maurice Gordon! Justice for Maurice Gordon and all the other black lives and indigenous lives lost, and immigrant lives lost in this country at the hands of state violence. Peace.
You keep it going for Donald! Say Maurice Gordon's name. Maurice Gordon! We're going to bring Omaima back up. She's going to read some more letters of Brick residents that could not be here today. So let's put our hands together and show love for Omaima.
So this is also from an anonymous person who graduated from Brick Township High School. He'd like to say, I'll be honest, I haven't really experienced racism directly, but I definitely have heard a lot of black jokes and stuff. I'll never forget in 8th grade, I was always a class clown, so teachers would always take jabs at me, in a jokingly way. But there was this one experience I'll never forget when a teacher I had at the time was writing some stuff on her blackboard. She said, let me use my least favorite color, and she's like, brown, and looked directly at me, and everyone in the class started laughing because I was the only black kid. And since I was just a class clown, I kind of just shrugged it off my shoulders and drew a picture of her looking like Mrs. Puff from SpongeBob. But in this town, people say nigger every now and then, even when they stub their toes. No one's ever called me one, but it's a word you definitely do hear. The weird thing is I hear white people using the word to describe other white people. Growing up, I always thought that's how every white person was, but it wasn't until I went away to college that I realized it wasn't. But Brick is definitely a white town. There are no black coaches, no black teachers, no black police officers. I also want to point out that I don't want to give the impression that it is a racist town, because a lot of my white friends, people I'm close to, have treated me like family. They've had me over for dinner, helped me when I was at my lowest, and always had my back when I needed it. I do want to point out, however, that Brick is set up to be systematically racist. There are no black role models. There are no black coaches. There are no black teachers. There are no black policemen. There are no black mayors. There's no black people in positions of power or influence. There is no diversity. A prime example of this, and I'm sure all of you guys are aware, is when you drive by Maple Leaf, that's where all the cops patrol. That's where the majority of black people live. I've been pulled over near there, and since I was in a nice luxury car, the police pulled me over with a broken taillight, and the cop said he assumed I got a nice car like that by selling drugs, as if there was no other way I can get the car. Stuff like that is the problem in Brick, and we need to fix it. Thank you. And then I'd like to also introduce a fellow black member living in Brick, Eli Lavrin.
Damn, I'm nervous. My name is Eli Lavrin, and I go to school at East Stroudsburg University. I play college football there, but I don't just play football. I'm a student first. I'm a black student first. I'm majoring in social work with a minor with psychology, and I graduate this December. Here's something I wrote. First, I would like to say thank you, God, for giving me the chance and the courage talking in front of you guys. Then I would like to say thank you guys for creating this in brick. Then I would like to say thank you guys for being here and supporting. We're all here for the same reason together as one. We all matter. Some way and somehow we all matter and can make a difference. We can all be a voice or example in some shape or form. It's upsetting how we had to come this far for us to be heard. I'm sorry for all the black lives that have been taken. All of our hearts and sympathy goes out to their families and loved ones. Now, I would like to talk about Brick. We all know it's a racist town, and we all have been involved with racism growing up here. Even myself, and I'm sorry to myself, I let a lot of things slide without saying anything. But it has to stop, and it's stopping now. It stops with us standing up. Through all this going on, my favorite saying is, if we don't stand for nothing, we will fall for something. I don't think y'all heard me. It says, if we don't stand for nothing, we will fall for something. And now it's time to stand for something. Everybody can stand, no matter black, white, yellow, purple, don't matter. Be a voice. Open people's minds and hearts. I believe we can all do it, and I'm not saying to do it tomorrow. It takes time. God said Rome wasn't built in a day. So I believe it'll be day by day as we get better and better. I pray for peace, and I pray for a solution, and I pray for no more. We cannot continue to dismiss the black lives. We want our fair chance to live and thrive without no worry. We cannot continue to look the other way no more. If we want racial reconciliation, we have to be willing to live comfortably, uncomfortably. We have to live comfortably, be uncomfortably. Talk to someone, educate yourself, and educate others. Love one another as brothers and sisters. And last thing, everyone can put a hand up. Everyone. And just for a moment of silence for all the black lives. Thank you.
I am here to introduce Jamal Holmes. He's here to tell us about a petition, which is another way to make a change. So give it up for Jamal.
Black Lives Matter. 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 Hands up. 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 No justice. No justice. No justice. No justice. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name.
For those of you that don't recognize me, my name is Jamal. I go by Vibe Mall. I'm a local DJ. I organized the Towns River Walk that most of you probably saw in the news last week. Yesterday, Governor Murphy came to my demonstration in Westfield. The day before that, we visited Clark, New Jersey. Very known racist town. The day before the march, I got contacted by the organizer, and she said there's a known KKK chapter in the town. There were death threats, comments, slurs, tweets, posts, comments. We still walked right through the middle of the town. 500 plus. Two days before that, I visited Cranford, New Jersey. Mohegan Park. Beautiful park. Over 2,000 people. If you don't know Cranford, New Jersey, Cranford is 90% Caucasian. Over 2,000 people showed up in this park and walked around the lake for an hour. Before that, I visited Asbury Park. How many of y'all been there? Power to the people. And before that, we had Chief of Police Little, Prosecutor Bellheimer, Town Councilman Turnback, the Warden of the County Jail, and the Ocean County Task Force Chief, Carrington. Walk with us down Main Street. They all took a knee. We had a moment of silence. Some of you may recognize my mask. I was the one yelling. I still have no voice.
Right.
A couple of my supporters from Toms River asked me to come here today. Ocean County, we have a problem. Y'all see my skin color? How many of y'all from Ocean County? From Ocean County. Now, how many of y'all are from black communities? I have been in Ocean County for 10 plus years. I am a Toms River North graduate. I'm a local DJ. I have hosted multiple events in Seaside. I do booking at Tuscan House. A lot of people downtown know my name for good reasons, as well as some bad. I have experienced my own racism in Ocean County, police brutality in Ocean County. I spent 4 months in the Ocean County Jail for getting jumped in Seaside Heights by 6 white people. My attorney, who was the town councilman who walked with us, got my discovery, and I was instantly released after 4 months of trying to get out without trying to fight, because I didn't feel like I needed to fight. Why should I have to fight for something I didn't do? Why am I the victim sitting in jail and all of my attackers are posting about me? A year later, all charges were dismissed. We're not going to clap about that because it shouldn't have happened. How many of you guys heard about the LBI protest? Okay, how many of you attended?
Yeah.
You were there?
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, you was the one with the megaphone.
Yeah.
Babe, that was him. Power to the people, my man. I was a little bit upset. Did you see my post? I got 12,000 views right now about what I said about that protest.
Speak on it. Let him hear you.
So, y'all see my skin color. Y'all figured, LBI, majority white community. You would think when they see someone of my skin color at a Black Lives Matter protest, they would make me feel comfortable. The police would make me feel comfortable. I asked, why can't we walk in the street? This is a protest. We are making a demonstration. We are sending a message. They said, we're worried about traffic. Babe, we thought 12,000 views was one thing. Let's talk about this. I got told, I went live for 4 minutes, had 1,000 views in an hour. We're at 12,000 right now. My name is Vibe and Mall. You can find it on Facebook. I did not feel comfortable. One reason, the police. I got sent a video by one of my followers that asked me to come. There was a girl walking down the street and she went to Barnegat High School, or that high school, Southern Regional, right? Am I saying that right? Okay. And she asked one of her classmates, who was a police officer, to take a knee on camera. And you know what he directly told her? No.
He said keep it moving too. He did.
Chief of Police, Tom Delaney, you were there. Where was he? Where was your mayor? Where were your town council? Where were your town leaders to support this message that we're trying to send? This is the problem, Ocean County. I appreciate all of you being here, every last one of you. I love these organizers. I don't even know y'all. I love y'all. We're about to. There's a petition going around in Stafford Township right now. I posted it on my live feed. It's went up 1,000 signs since I posted. The organizers, not him, but who was at LBI, I got a little bit of static because in my live feed, I was very angry and I mistakenly said, you know what, it was probably a white person that organized the LBI protest. And come to find out, I was actually wrong. It was a 19-year-old black man from the community and his fellow classmates. They reached out to me, not in anger on what I said, but to agree. Did you hear what I said? But to agree with everything I said. The organizers of the protest, they felt they were trying to be silenced by the community. And there were some threats made. Death threats by residents in the community to these 19 and 20-year-old students. 19 and 20-year-old students who want to make a change. They received death threats blatantly on the social media, Facebook posts. I think his name was Michael White. Where my cameraman at? Michael White, if you're listening to me right now, I want you to bring your gun and your bullets to Brick, New Jersey right now. And you come out here and you shoot all of us. Right now. There's a petition going on in Stafford, New Jersey, because this was brought to the township before the protest. Nothing was done. I went live with the one kid, the 19-year-old black man, and I apologized to him on live because we had over 10,000 views on my video and everyone felt some type of way. A lot of his followers messaged me and, were like, hey, look, I was like, yo, listen, it's not against you guys or what you're doing. We're trying to make change. We demand change. We don't allow them to tell us how we're going to demand change. Stafford Township did nothing about this. This man clearly put on Facebook, hold on, everyone pull out your phones right now. Everyone pull out your phones right now. At every protest I've been going to, me and my friend, who's also another DJ, some of you might know him, DJ Drewski from Hot 97. Do you guys watch Love and Hip Hop New York? All right, he's on there too. He's been with me at all these rallies. Just so all of you know, we're doing a walk in Lacey, AKA what I was told, Hickville, Wednesday. And I got a message for AKA Hickville. Pull out your phones and go live right now. Hashtag use your voice. Hashtag use your voice. I need everyone to go live and don't just focus on me. Show everyone how many people are here right now standing up for justice. Because this is how we make change. Everyone needs to use their voices, their platforms, their voices. Speak on it. Don't just post about it. Speak on it. Hashtag use your voice. This is what we have been doing in every spot we have stopped in. Everyone needs to be heard. This petition in Stafford, if you look up, go to change.org, look up LBI protest, and you will see the disgusting comments that were left for these 19 and 20-year-old students who wanted to make change in their white community. This is a problem. I'm waiting for Billheimer to call me back right now. He got a message from me this morning. I'm just letting y'all know. Because if I don't get a call back, me and my protesters, we going back downtown. Because if the Ocean County prosecutor is gonna walk with my black ass and take a knee in a moment of silence and say that we stand for Black Lives Matter, and you told me on Channel 12 News and Asbury Park Press and the Times of Patch and whoever this is right now recording me that you support Black Lives Matter, then what is your town doing in Stafford? Now I have a question for you guys. Where's your mayor? We got a march. I ain't gonna touch on it too much, but y'all know where I'm going. Like brother said before, this starts in your communities. It starts in your communities. We can watch all these posts. We can watch all the riots. We can share pictures. We can share videos. We can be mad and we can talk and we can rant and we can comment. But it starts in your community. I don't know about y'all, but I'm visiting every racist community in New Jersey. He said, when the protests stop, what y'all gonna do? He said, when Black Lives Matter dies out, what y'all gonna do? Brother, I don't know about you, but my voice is not going to stop. Hashtag use your voice. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up! Hands up! No justice! No justice! No justice! Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amber, if you forgot. I just want everyone to look around, take a second, look at the crowd. Thank you. I'm saying thank you from the bottom of my heart. Give it up. Give it up for each other. We had an amazing turnout today. I wasn't sure how many people were coming out, but I had no idea this many people would be here. I have to thank Omaima, Chris, and Rodney. I couldn't have done it without them, so give it up for them. Thank you to our amazing speakers today. Louder, let's go. It takes a lot to come up here. And I just want to say thank you one more time for coming here with open ears, open minds, and open hearts. I could feel that we were here listening and learning, which is what is so important to do right now in order to take further steps. We are going to march. I need you, before we go, I need you to take a look around your surroundings. We will make a mark, but this is not our mark. I do not litter. Pick up all of your stuff. We will make our mark in another way. We are going to split into two. Split. Yep, make a line. Split. Chris is separating you. You will follow me and the other organizers as we walk down the middle. I want you to keep in mind the loud voices that we had for the entire protest so far, and I want you to make your mark in these streets right now. Here we go! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Make everyone hear you, make everyone uncomfortable. Black lives! Black lives! Black lives! Say his name! Say his name! Thank you guys. We're going to walk up the middle. Just hang tight 1 second. There's waters all the way at the front if you need a beverage. They're free. Please feel free to take as many as you need.